Good afternoon, everyone, once again. My name is Tui. I'm the council member of Siam Society. I'm very pleased to be here today to see you all online because it's a privilege for today's lecture to have Professor Chedha Tingsanchali to be with us this afternoon to speak about his latest research on the mudra of the Buddha image. I think even the title of the lecture today is already quite interesting enough for those who are the Buddhist scholars, as well as the Southeast Asian art history, or even someone who just are interested in this subject matter. The title of today's lectures by Professor Dr. Chedha is Two-Handed Vitarka Gesture and the Cross-Handed Gesture, the linkage between Thailand and Sri Lankan Buddhist art. Let me first begin by providing you with a little introduction of the speaker today. Professor Dr. Chedha Tingsanchali is a very renowned scholar. He has authored so many different books. He is an expert on an Indian and Southeast Asian art history, and he is currently a professor at Silpakorn University at the Department of Art History. He has a BA as well as MA on art history from Silpakorn University. And he also has a PhD from the National Museum Institute of New Delhi in India. Professor Chedha has conducted many talks. He has authored many books, as I mentioned, and he also led so many trips for different groups to India, as well as to different historic sites in Southeast Asia and in Thailand. I've been on a trip with him before. I've sat in many lectures that he spoke. I can assure you that his finding is always very insightful, and with his deep knowledge of Buddhism, Southeast Asian, as well as the roots of everything from India. So he always presents us with a lot of interesting points and something I'm sure everyone will enjoy. Before I hand over to Dr. Chedha, may I just remind you that today the lecture will last probably around 1 hour. Professor Chedha will present his research about 45 minutes, and we'll leave the last 15 minutes for the Q&A. And for any audience who has a question, please feel free to type your question on the Q&A box, and your question will remain in there. And at the end of the lecture, we'll go through them, and Professor Chedha will answer all your questions at the end of the session. And without further ado, may I please hand over to Professor Dr. Chedha Tingsanchali to present his work for us.
Okay, good evenings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be invited by the Siam Society to present my the lectures on mudra or gestures. Yes. Normally, Buddha images has to perform gestures in his hand, sometimes one hand or sometimes both hands, to communicate with devotees. And some of the gestures we can trace it back to the original places like India and Sri Lanka, and because I was invited by Sri Lankan Archaeological Survey of Sri Lanka to present the paper. So I prepared these seminars, these lectures for that, and I also share this one to Siam Society so that Thai people and Siam Society members can enjoy the lectures here. Okay, firstly I will show you the slides. So my topic is on two-hand Vitarka gesture and the cross-hand gestures, the linkage between Thailand and Sri Lankan Buddhist art. And this is Vitarka gesture. Okay, this one is double hand Vitarka gesture, and cross-hand gesture doing like this. But firstly, I have to introduce you about Abhaya Mudra first. Okay, because Abhaya Mudra is the ancestors of Vitarka Mudra. Abhaya literally the gestures of fearlessness, is the most ancient gestures for Buddha images in India. Started from Gandhara and Mathura, the gesture then spread towards South India and Sri Lanka. So this is Abhaya gestures. This one, raising the right hand upwards, like this, to bless the people of the being safe from any dangers. So this is the meaning of Abhaya. Abhaya mean fear or mean danger. Abhaya. And in Sanskrit mean not. So Abhaya means fearlessness. The meanings of Abhayas correspond to the need of the devotees who pray to the Lord for the boon of being safe from any dangers, as well as any deformants. So the devotees, in accordance with bhakti movement or the movement of the devotions, pray to the Lord for being safe from any danger. So this is the meaning of Abhaya. Whereas the right hand is in Abhaya, the left hands of Indian Buddha images hold the tip of the garment. This one, I'm talking about this hand. Okay, these hands hold the tip of the garment, but there is no iconographic meaning with this difference from the right hand. Started from Gandhara, now I want to compare the differences of Abhaya Mudra and the left hand that holding the tip of the garment between South and the North India. Comparing the North Indianoid and South, Abhaya in the right hand is almost the same pattern. However, the pattern of the left hand is totally different. Holding the tip of the garment, the left hand in the North is aesthetically hanging down. This one, seems to be different from the right hand. Whereas that of the South is normally raising upwards, symmetrically with the right one, like this. Okay, these differences has no specific meanings, but it was designed in accordance with the aesthetic. So this is the difference between North Indian and South Indian style of art. And after that, we are going to focus on South Indian art and Sri Lanka. Okay, with Buddha raising both hands symmetrically like this. Okay, before it's coming to Southeast Asia. Another gesture that I'm going to introduce to you is Vitarka Mudra. During mid-Anuradhapura period in Sri Lanka, another gesture is introduced. It was introduced, that is Vitarka Mudra. The mudra is stylistically similar to Abhaya with right hand raised like this, but differently. The index and the thumb touch each other. So this denotes Vitarka Mudra. Vitarka Mudra is the gesture of teachings or explaining, sometimes called Vyakhyana Mudra in Sanskrit. Vitarka is normally used in Buddhism, while Vyakhyana Mudra is normally used in Hinduism, meaning Hindu iconography. Vitarka Mudra is characterized by the right hand raised upward with the index touch the thumb like this. This beautiful gesture is normally popular in bronze sculpture only, not in stone, while as the moving light fingers are difficult to be sculpted in stone, so we normally discover these gestures in the bronze images only. So this is the Buddha from Badula, from in central Sri Lanka, and notably that right hand of the Buddha is in Vitarka, while the left hand that I'm going to speak later, holding the tip of the garment. This is Vitarka Mudra. It's holding the tip of the garment. Okay, and note, you can notice that this is in bronze. The left hand is designed specifically in Kataka Mudra. This one, Kataka means rings, the ring gesture, because the finger index and the thumb form the form of ring like this. Okay, for holding the tip of the garment, and the fingers of the left hand are beautifully designed with moving light fingers or wavy fingers, including the wavy index, middle fingers, and the little fingers. They are look like moving like this. So this is Kataka Mudra, which is normally paired with Vitaraka Mudra in the right hand. Aesthetically, as the wavy designs of Vitaraka Mudra in the right hand seems to be correspond to Kataka Mudra in the left. These gestures are normally paired in Sri Lankan. So right hand in Vitaraka, left hand in Kataka is normally paired. Then we are going to speak about Southeast Asia. Okay, when Buddhism spread from Sri Lanka to Southeast Asia during the 5th to 8th centuries, several bronzes, Anuradhapura Buddha images were imported, were transported from the island as an equipment for spreading Buddhism. As you know that bronze is lighter and easier to carry on ship compared to the stone one. Therefore, only bronze have been carried by the traveler, not the stone. So Abhaya Buddha images is omitted to be carried on ship to Southeast Asia, and only Vitaraka Buddha images is known for being carried to Southeast Asia. That's why Buddha images with Vitarka in the right hand and Kataka Mudra in the left became widely spread in Southeast Asia. And this is the Buddha image discovered at Dong Duong in central Vietnam. And the Buddha's style is of Anuradhapura style, bronze image, huge inside, about 1 meter in size, and the right hand is in Vitaraka, while the left hand is in Kataka gesture. You can notice the differences. In the same time, it looks like the same. If you notice clearly, but this hand, right hand and left hand, raised symmetrically like this. So these are the examples of the bronze Sri Lanka Buddha images in Southeast Asia in various sites. So some of these images is human life size, while others are small. Like this one, this is about 1 meters high. Others are 10 centimeters high, which is very small. So we found a large number of images from Dong Dieng in central Vietnam to northeastern Thailand. So these both images are from northeastern Thailand. This from Nakhon Ratchasima. This from Roi Et, which is not far. And we found some image like this, Sri Lankan images in southern Thailand. Java or syllabus. Interestingly, these images bear the same gesture: Vitaraka in the right, Kataka in the left, Vitaraka, Kataka, Vitaraka, Kataka in the left. And they bear the same style of rope. One shoulder cover rope like this, and the rope is full with folds. So this is Sri Lankan style. So after that, several schools of Buddhist art adapt the gestures from Sri Lanka, mainly firstly from Southeast, from Sri Lanka, and it was adapted and changed in Southeast Asia. The gestures is slightly the same, but the rope become indigenous style, including the mixture of Gupta transparent both shoulder cover rope with Sri Lankan gestures. So in Southeast Asia, you would notice that the Buddha image are the mixtures of both currents from Indian and Sri Lankan sources. Like the rope would be Gupta and Vakataka like style, but the gestures are normally from Sri Lanka. Southeast Asia loves symmetrical aesthetics. Thus, they design the Buddha with the identical gesture. So in Sri Lanka, we have a right hand in Vitaraka and left hand in Kataka. But in Southeast Asia, because of the symmetrical aesthetic, so they become the double hand Vitaraka and double hand Kataka. So sometimes they come like this, or sometimes they design like this, which is different from Sri Lankanite. The continuations of the double hands gestures continues from the Varavati to Bangkok, so it's become indigenous for Thailand, especially. So these are the local variations of double Vitaraka and Kataka Mudra in Thailand, and this is the Varavati art. Far from Nondaburi, but it's not far from Bangkok, but it should not be the original place. And can notice that this is bronze image. And this is both hand Vitaraka. Because bronze is easy to cast. So, I mean, to sculpt the sculpture and cast the sculpture with the fingers like this. So for the bronze, they always allot the with the double hand Vitaraka gesture for the image. While compared to the stone, this is the Buddha from Nakhon Pathom in the Varavati art also. This is the same school, but for the stone one, we use Kataka because it would be very difficult to sculpt to carve the stone with the fingers like this. So it's better to do like this instead to prevent the damage while sculpting. You understand? So double Kataka Mudra was introduced to the stone Buddha images in the Varavati art instead of double hand Vitaraka Mudra. So this is the difference. Double hand Vitarka Mudra continues from the Varavati to Camera Kintan, and this is Vayon. You can notice the difference of the style of the Buddha's head, the difference Ushanisha or the protuberance, and the difference of the face expressions with square profile, but the gesture is still the same, double hand Vitarka gestures. These are some local variations of the Vitarka and Kataka Mudra in Southeast Asia. So we found not only in Thailand, but it has been widespread to Cambodia. This is from Cambodia. This one from Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And I also discovered some Buddha image in Sumatra in Indonesia. It belongs to Srivijaya art, but the double hand Kataka Mudra is also the same. Double hand Kataka Mudra in the world of the art seems to have some special iconography. If the Buddha stand on the monsters like this called Vanaspati. Vanaspati, which is the name of the creature that mix between lions and Garuda. So, and this kind of creatures is the local iconography, because in Indian art we have never seen the Buddha mounting on any vehicle before. So this is local the word of the iconography, and we don't know that who is this Buddha. We don't know whether he is any Tathagata or some celestial Buddha, or the present Buddha, or any stories of the present Buddha that this sculpture try to narrate. Some scholars thought that these Buddhas, this image try to narrate the story of the sundown from the heaven. But some scholars thought that this should not be Shakyamuni, but this should be Amitabha instead. But there's some arguments, and there's still problematic. So later double Abhaya Mudra in Thai art. Two-hand Abhaya Mudra in later Thailand, like in Ayutthaya and Bangkok, seem to be the continuations of two-hand Vitarka Mudra Buddha from the Varavati in Khmer art. The main meanings is given to Buddha's gesture as the gesture of prohibition. So this is the new idea or new concept that have been given to the gesture. Stop. Like it, stop. This is the gesture that has been changed during the Thai kingdoms, and double gestures like this, double Abhaya gestures, is fixed to the stories of prohibitions of the storm ocean. In Thai, we call Praham Samut. While the right Abhaya is specific to the prohibitions of quarreling relatives, the left Abhaya is specific to the stories of prohibitions of sandalwood with the image. So there are many stories that has been added up after the 13th centuries of Thai art. So this is the variations, in Thai art, in later Thai art. First, I would like to give you the ideas of the one-hand Abhaya Mudra in Thai art with local variations. Sometimes the Buddha use his right hand raising in Abhaya, sometimes left hand like this, and some of them, some of the art objects exhibits the stories of stopping the quarrels relatives. The stories goes that Buddha's relative from Kapilavastu and Devadaha try to fought against each other because they try to get the water. They try to seize the water from the same river Rohini. So the Buddha stopped them and tamed them, and then the battle finished. Okay, this is the painting, the mural painting from Puthai home in the Deputy King Palace. Now there is National Museum of Bangkok, and we can notice that the painters of Bangkok murals used the abhaya, the one hand abhaya in the left hand, for designating the story of stopping the quarrels of relatives. Another case is the left hand abhaya mudra in Thailand, and the left hand abhaya mudra is typical to Thai art, created in Sukhothai. Firstly, it was meant for walking Buddha. This one, walking Buddha, with meanings of the descent from Tower Timse heaven. This is local iconography and being different from those in India. During Ayutthaya, the legends of the sandalwood with the image become very popular, and the left hand abhaya with standing Buddha was newly designated for narrating the story. So this is Ayutthaya, and the standing Buddha with the left hand raising in abhaya becomes the Buddhas that involved with the legends of sandalwood Buddha image. According to the legends, after descending from heaven, the Buddha went to Jetavana when the people were paying respect to sandalwood Buddha image. This image was created to represent the master while he sojourned in the heaven. The sandalwood image was miraculously moved away from the throne, and the Buddha raised his left hand to stop the image. Okay, so this is the stories, and Thai sculptor tried to identify the left hand abhaya's Buddha image with this story, but we still have some varieties also that in this painting you can notice that the Buddha raised his left hand in abhaya, but the story does not match to the legends that I mentioned before. So there are some variations, and you need to consider case by case. In Burmese art, during our period, a Sri Lankan light gesture is designated for previous Buddha Dipankara. This is a local iconography, and we found this image in Povintong cave that dated to 16th to 17th century of Nung Nhan period. The figure of the post-plate Sumedha, the Buddha to be, the Bodhisattva, is in the front. According to the legends, Sumedha is the hermit prostrated in front of the Buddha as the bridge for the Buddha to cross the mud, symbolizing of crossing the defilements. Thereafter, the Buddha gave the prophecies to Sumedha that he would be Shakyamuni or the present Buddha. So this gesture, Sri Lankan light gesture, seems to match with Deepankara, and it's still continued even in Malay period. So this is the local iconography of Burmese art that started from our period downwards. Okay, so that is the stories of the double Vitarka gesture and Kataka gesture. Now I'm going to speak another topic that is the cross hand gesture, and the most famous one is from Galvihara in Polonnaruwa. It is the famous cross hand Buddha image in Buddhist art, and the iconography is problematic because there is no record in Sri Lankan Chronicle Julawamsa. So to actually this chronicle mentions about the king Pakaramabahu I, who patronized this site Galavihara, but the meaning of the Buddha itself does not mention in this chronicle. And the cross hands gesture has never been used for Buddha images in the night, so the meanings of the gestures become unclear. Several scholars try to identify this figure, like some people try to match this image with Ananda, the Buddha disciple who sought after the death of the Buddha. Some people thought that this is the Buddha with standing or walking meditation, and some people try to match this Buddha image with the story of contemplations, the sufferings of the world. So there are many theories I can say. But I would like to introduce you to the Prematilike's theory. He is the Sri Lankan scholar, and he identified this cross hands gesture as a gesture of animiscetia, as he noticed in candy murals. For example, at Dambulla, this one, Dambulla cave number 2, and so the cross hands Buddha at Galavihara should be animiscetia also. What is animiscetia? It's the second week after the enlightenment. So the Buddha meditated by standing and gazing toward Bodhi tree and Bodhi throne. This is the throne of enlightenment. And he gazed unblinkingly for 7 days. So this is the story of animiscetia. And nimisa means blinking. Animisa is unblinking. So he gazed unblinkingly to the Bodhi tree and Bodhi throne for 7 days. And while gazing, he crossed his hand like this. In order to solve the problems, so we should study the iconographical meanings of this gesture in Enenite. As you know that Enenite is a prototype for the Buddha iconography in the whole world. And then we have to study the iconography of this gesture in Thailand also, since we found this gesture in the Wadawati art, which is more ancient than Polonnaruwa. Firstly, I would like to introduce you about the cross-hand gesture in Enenite. We found in India, but not in Buddha image. But we found this gesture for the attendants who are paying homage, paying respect to the Supreme Lord. The cross-hand gestures is actually the gesture of respect. So I gave you the example from Srinivasanallur in Tamil Nadu, is early Chola art, and you can notice that this is the attendance to cross his hand for paying respect to Shiva Dakshinamurti in the center. These are other examples of a cross-hand gesture in India. So this is the attendant figures from Kailashnath Temple in Kanchipuram. He is paying respect to Shiva inside the sanctum by crossing his hand like this. While in Ellora cave number 12, this is Bodhisattva crossing his hand for paying homage to the Buddha inside the sanctum. In Sri Lankan art, when the Buddha crosses his hand, to whom he is paying homage, iconographically, the Buddha is the supreme one. No need to pay homage to anyone in the universe. To whom the Buddha pays homage. Only scene that he paid homage is the story of Chedha. In the scripture called Jinajarita, the scripture is composed in Sri Lanka. The verse number 269 states that Animise bodhim sampujayanto nayanambujehi sattahamatasi jaya sananja. So these are the words. Sattaham for 1 week. Atasi, the Buddha stood. Animisehi, unblinkingly. Nayanambujehi, this is why, sorry. Nayanambujehi, with unblinkingly lotus-like eye. Sampujayanto, paying homage to whom? To Bodhim, to the Bodhi tree, as well as to Jaya Sananja, to the throne of victory. Jaya means victory, Asanam means the throne. So after translating this, during Animisujetiya, the Buddha paid homage to the Bodhi tree and Bodhi throne, and his respect is shown by the crossing hand gesture. So in my opinion, pre-material theory seems to be possible. The respect to the Bodhi tree is shown by crossing hands gesture, as the unblinking eyes are difficult to express in sculptures painting. So we cannot, show that the Buddha's gazing unblinkingly in the sculpture and painting. The only easiest way to show is the gesture. The gesture continues from Polonnaruwa to Kandy period. And though it is a part of 7-week meditative series, Sri Lankan's Bodhi tree's special respect seems to be the reasons why the scenes has been promoted in Sri Lankan art. As we know that Sri Lanka love Bodhi tree, they pay respect to the Bodhi tree, and they recognize Bodhi trees as the representative of the Buddha in present day. That's why the people, that's why the Bodhi tree has been exalted, I can say, has been exalted as the master of what they call as the masters of the revered objects in Sri Lanka, and that's why they try to compare that even the Buddha has to pay respect to the Bodhi tree. cross-hand gesture in Thailand. Now we are going to examine some cross-hand gesture. I give you the example at Bodhisattva Cave in Saraburi. The gesture has been found in the Varavati Arts, also beside India and Sri Lanka, and the bas relief sculptures at Bodhisattva Cave. This one exhibit three figures of gold: the preaching Buddha, this is the Buddha, the preaching Shiva, this is Shiva, as Yoga Dakshinamurti, or the Lord of Yoga Master, and Vishnu, this is Vishnu. Vishnu pay respect to the Buddha and Shiva by crossing his hand against the chest. So these examples of using this gesture for Supreme God, paying homage to other Supreme Gods. This is the example. Okay. For Buddha image, now I'm going to discuss about the boundary stone from Wat Bung Khum Neun in Yasothon. There is a boundary stone at Wat Bung Khum Neun in Yasothon, which is in the northeastern Thailand. The stone is the Varavati art, which is dated from 6th to 10th century. This most ancient case of using the cross-hand gesture in Buddhist art that we still discover nowadays. And the cross-hand gesture, cross-hand Buddha, is the Buddha that pays homage to the Bodhi tree and Bodhi throne with the same iconography as in Sri Lanka. And this is the story of Animisajetiya, as I already mentioned before. Significantly, Wat Bung Khum Neun Buddhas ensure that this gesture is meant for Animisajetiya's story and is more ancient than Sri Lanka itself. We do not sure which one is the original place of this iconography, Sri Lanka and the Varavati, but the most ancient art object we discover in the Varavati. So we don't know whether there were some examples of Anuradhapura Buddhas in this kind of gesture, but it's already been lost before it was transferred to the iconography was transferred to the Varavati, or the Varavati is the original place for this gesture. Cross-hand gestures in Thailand continue to early Ayutthaya. From the crypt of Wat Raj Purana in Ayutthaya, is constructed during the reign of King Baramarajatiraja II in 15th century. It is dated to early Ayutthayan art. The cross-hand gesture like this is designated for the Buddha that is gazing toward Bodhi tree and Bodhi throne. Is denote the story of Animisajetiya, which is similar to Sri Lankan iconography. Sri Lankan influence is noticeable from iconographical and stylistical ideas like this one. The style of the painting is very similar to Sri Lankan style of art. Like a red background is very similar. The gesture are the same. This halos is of the same style, and that's why early Ayutthaya and Sri Lanka is possible to connect each other with art, painter, the sculptor, the monk who traveled from Sri Lanka to Thailand, and monk who traveled from Thailand to Sri Lanka. In the text Jinakala Pali Pakarana, which was wrote in 15th century, some monks from Sri Lanka passed through Ayutthaya on the way to Chiang Mai. So this is the solid evidence of the connections between Thailand and Sri Lanka during the 15th century. Cross-hand gestures continued to later in 18th centuries also, and is shown in the story of Animisa Chetia at Wat Kok Kaew in Phetchaburi. So this is continuations of the Sri Lankan iconography down to later in 18th century. And I can say that this is the last examples before these gestures is recognized with a new concept in Bangkok period. I would give you the variations, the idea of variations of cross-hand gesture also. Another kind of cross-hand gesture is the gesture that cross at the abdomen that we found in Northern Thailand, in Burma, and in Bangkok. Cross-hand gestures for Buddha at the abdomen is firstly depicted on the bell-shaped element of Haribunjai stupa in Northern Thailand in 15th century. Listen. You see here? He cross his hand here. And this one. My opinion, cross-hand gesture at the abdomen was created from Dhyana Mudra. Dhyana Mudra is a gesture that the Buddha crosses, laid his hand on the lap like this. Okay, but it was transformed from the sitting Buddha to standing Buddha. Meaning is the same, meditations. Haribunjai stupa. Here we have the Buddha, but there is no depictions of the tree. So we do not sure whether this gesture has been fixed with the story of Animisa Chetia or not. The cross-hand gestures in Burma in our period that we have some example from Province Tongkev of the 16th centuries to 17th centuries, and the cross-hand gestures at the abdomen is specific for the story of Animisa Chetia instead of the cross-hand gesture at the chest. It is different from Sri Lankan iconography. This is the first time in Southeast Asia, and the new iconography will be widespread throughout Southeast Asia after the 17th century. So this is the Buddha gazing toward the Bodhi tree and the throne. After that, in Bangkok, 19th centuries, during the period of King Rama III, Patriarch Paramanushit Shino adopted these gestures and applying for the story of Animisa Chetia. This seems to be the Burmese or Northern Thai influence, and it's continued in Thailand nowadays. This one. And this is the painting at Wat Sutat. You can notice that the Buddha gazing toward the Bodhi tray and Bodhi throne with his hand crossing at the abdomen. This gesture is called in Thai as Thawai Net. Literally, the giving of the eyes as the tribune to the Bodhi tree is literally paying respect, okay, to the Bodhi tree. The cross-hand gestures at the abdomen has been used for the walking meditation also. Patia Paramanushishino wrote this gesture with the walking meditation like this. According to the stories, the Buddha walked in meditations after gazing toward Bodhi tree. So this is the this is the third week after his enlightenment. Animisa Chetia is the second week after his enlightenment. And the crossing gesture denote the meditations where his feet are also moving. And this is the mirror, this one is mirror from Wat Kongkaram in Rajapuri, and the Buddha walking while his hand crossing at the abdomen. And how about the crossing hand at the chest? How about the concepts of during the Bangkok period? Patriarch Paramahansa created the new concept for Sri Lankan soil, crossing the gesture. The gesture against the chest remind him the contemplations occur inside his mind, inside the Buddha mind. So the gesture meanings was changed. Thai people call this gesture as Pang Rampung. Rampung means the gesture of contemplation. After the 7 weeks of meditations, the Buddhas contemplated that there are several levels of humans divided into 4 classes, comparable into 4 kinds of lotus, like this. Then Brahma invited him to preach the Dharma. So this is the gesture of contemplation instead of animisajiti. So this is a change in Bangkok period. And the cross-hand gesture at the chest with sitting Buddha as is also promoted with the new concept. With many stories with different from the standing one. I mean, in Bangkok period. This is a gesture of contemplations while he practicing austerities. Crossing his hand against the chest in sitting posture is the gesture of austerities. Austerity or penance. Like this. Okay, and the new concept was initiated by Patriarch Paramahansa. So he is the same guy who introduced the new concept to many gestures that has changed dramatically from the ancient concept or ancient iconography. So in conclusion, before so this is the end of the presentation, I would like to conclude that both two-hand Vitarka mudras and cross-hands gesture indicate the close religious connections between Sri Lanka and Thailand. The kind of iconographic meanings has been evolved from time to time in different periods. Two hands Vitarka gesture was originally not specific to any story. Thereafter, it is, however, specific to several themes in accordance with the indigenous iconography. Cross-hands gesture was originally specific to the respectful gesture. It was later changed to narrate several stories, especially in later Thai art. So this is the evolutions, and this is the presentations that lead you to understand the gestures of Vitarka gestures and cross-hand gesture. And I try to link with Sri Lankan art. And so I hope that you understand and enjoy the lectures. For it is a part of my book that is going to be issued in Thai. This book called Mudra that I think it would be issued at the end of this year. So if someone who can read Thai I hope that this book would be enjoyable for the people who are interested in Buddhist art. So at the end, I would like to thank Siam Society for inviting me to this lecture, and thank you the audience, everyone, for your patience, and thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Kapatan Ched. This is just, to me, I think it's fascinating. We know for a long time that there's a close connection between the Sri Lankan school of Buddhism to the current Theravada Buddhism that has been practiced in Thailand. But now, visually now, you kind of connect the dots for us. And now we see the links so much, even from the roots in India. And I think that's very fascinating, to be honest. Actually, I have a question. or the audience, if you have any questions, you can type into the Q&A box and I'll read out for Professor Chedha to answer your questions. But I have a question, Ajahn Chedha. We talk about the double Vitarka Mudra or even double Kanataka Mudra that we found in many Buddha images back in Sri Lanka. But most of them we found in standing posture, even after the influence arrived on the mainland Southeast Asia in the Varavati arts, or even further in Vietnam that you mentioned. It was fascinating. But we never actually found this double Vitaraka or double Kanataka Mudra on the seating posture. Have you found any? Have you come across any?
The explanations is that the sitting postures is normally connected with the gestures that you put both hands on the lap like this is called Dhyana Mudra,
right?
Or the gesture of meditation, because sitting Buddha seems to be connected with the yoga posture, the gestures or the postures of meditation. So that's why this gesture is normally connected with the standing Buddha image only. But even though some of the sitting Buddha image in Sri Lanka, we found some sitting Buddha image with two double hand Vitarka and Kataka Mudra, but that is quite less compared to the sitting Buddha with the Dhyana Mudra or the gesture of meditations. And in the Varavati art, the most popular gesture is sitting with the hand put, raised on the lap like this Dhyana Mudra. So
Right.
that's why, yes, it we found only in standing Buddha image.
I see. But when we talk about the double Vitaraka Mudra specifically, that is different from the Dhammachakra Mudra, right?
Oh yes, it is different because the Dhammachakra Mudra is suggested that you have to put right hand in the ring like pattern like this, and you have to put the left hand towards the right hand like this. To denote that the Buddha is turning the view of the Lord. This symbolizes the view of the Lord, and the left hand symbolize the turning. So that's what, and the gesture is actually popular in the north,
right?
North India, like Gupta, Vagataka, Pala, and Paganoid.
Okay.
And then it stopped. I mean, surprisingly, it stopped in Paganoid, and it has never come to Lana.
Okay.
Very because Lana and Sukhothai and Vidya, they love the gestures of Maravijaya instead of Dhammachakra Mudra. So that is the story is popular only in the north, and it's never been popular in the south, like South India, Sri Lanka, and the countries that was influenced by South India plus Sri Lanka.
Okay. And then in many textbooks, as well as in some explanation, when you see the standing Buddha with the double Vitaraka Mudra, I think a lot of when we learn, they said they associate this with the descending from Tavatumsai heaven. That is only for Thai understanding, right? Or is it like?
Yes, it is a new understanding, we can say, by Thai scholars who try to connect the Buddhas or that standing on the beast called Vanaspati, and Buddha flanked by Indra and Brahma.
Right.
Okay. Some scholars try to connect with descent from the within the heavens because the Buddha is flanked by this attendant Brahma and Indra. But some scholars argue that because in India, the staircase has to be present for these iconographies. The absence of the staircase seems to be the point that some scholars try to argue this, and they don't believe this is the gesture of descending from the within the heaven. So that's why.
Okay, thank you. There's one question from our audience, Ajahn. one of our audience asks, like, now you're comparing the Buddha image between different periods to see the correlation between the mudra, to understand and explain the development and adoption of the mudra. Has these images been, I don't know, carbon dated to give a certain time period for sure, so that we can establish a firm understanding that is an influence from Sri Lanka coming to this Dwaravadi and down to Ayutthaya?
I think the scientific explanations is in process, and in many images. Fine art departments try to study and try to examine with the carbon 14 or something like that, but the style and even some piece has been discovered from the excavations seems to be the solid evidence that
Right.
we have some close connections with Sri Lanka, because because of the style, and as well as the inscriptions that normally uh, written in South Indian script, and in many cases, by the way, in Pali.
Right.
As Pali is the language meant for Theravada Buddhism, so that's why we it's quite firm that we have some close connections with Sri Lanka as well as South India, especially Sri Lanka.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
during the Varavati is, but for scientific examinations, yeah, we have to it, and I don't know that is there any scientific examinations or scientific research for some images outside Thailand, like in Vietnam. I'm not sure, but I think that in the future, if they have some, that would be good.
Right. Okay. But I noticed that a lot of images that you show, especially the one from Sri Lanka, those are very iconic image that people are quite well aware of, like
Yes.
the huge Buddha standing one, you know,
Mm.
that is quite well known.
Yes, yes. I try to give you the examples, the beautiful examples. You can say the well-known beautiful examples, so that you can follow it and you can recognize and memorize it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Bhajan. And I think the lecture has been very fascinating and a lot of useful information for us to. Now we probably have to look at the Buddha image much closer now to see the difference between the different mudras. Because sometimes, as you said, there are so many similarities. Some legend has been established only very as late as Bangkok period, even, whereas some has been forgotten already, that you have to dig into a very ancient text to really find out some explanation to support that hypothesis. So on the behalf of the Siam Society, I would like to thank you so much for sharing with us today. And I hope we would be able to welcome you to provide another valuable talk for us again in the future. Thank you so much, ครับอาจารย์ ขอบคุณนะค
Thank
รับ
you.
ขอบคุณ
Thank
ค
you.
รับ
ขอบคุณครับ
ครับผม And for all the audience, Ajahn Ched has 4 more books to be coming out in a very soon future, one of which who talks about the mudra of the Buddha image specifically. Part of his research that he kindly shared with us today is in this book. And there'll be also be the book about the history and development of the spheres pavilion or prasad. Also about the Indian celestial image iconography. And I think these will be a very wonderful to add to your collection if you are interested in the subject. And may I please remind you that Siam Society regularly held the lectures on every Thursday in the evening time like this. And we will continue to have the lectures on Zoom, I think for the rest of this year for now. And I think hopefully next year after New Year, we should be able to resume our regular lecture talk physically at the auditorium of the Siam Society. May I remind you that the next program for next week, which is Thursday, 25th of November, the lecture will be about the Jubilee of King Chulalongkorn through the eyes of Alfred Rakesh. This will be the talk by Dr. William Gibson. And after that, on Saturday, 27, that's another special lecture. It'll be a panel discussion on about the development of the archaeological site Kuang Luang Wing Kiao in Chiang Mai. That's a very interesting case study. So if you like to attend these two, please stay tuned. You can also look us up on the Facebook website, hit, press subscribe or like us, then you won't miss any updates. And we also have a YouTube channel that we regularly upload lots of different lecture, all very interesting one. So stay tuned and be connected with us on these social media platforms. So I thank you all again for being with us this evening. And thank you, Professor Chedha, once again for your presence today. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, you all. Bye-bye for now.